policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle with the strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.
All right, it's a beautiful Monday morning, and it's Global Morning on Global Television, and it's great to be here. It's a tag team Monday team. We're up and ready to give you the best when it comes to news, when it comes to informing you on the major happenings and making rounds. And good morning to each and every one of you. I am Jumai Manson, and I have my co-host here with me, well suited with his glasses, you know. He's a very serious-minded individual. More hypes, right? And of course, my amazing co-host, not the person that Ramsey. Hi, Ramsey.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Well, while you were saying, you reminded me of those days when you go for an event, and the people will feel like, hey, why didn't you hype me? Why didn't you hype me? You didn't say so much about me. I want to spray you, but because you didn't hype me enough.
No.
You know, our brothers from that other part of Nigeria, I don't want to call the name of the place. They love healing so much.
They do.
But I feel sometimes it's normal. It's an appraisal. You know, it encourages people. And for some, they feel, well, I'm shy. I don't want to be, you know. Really?
But you know, there's something about appraisals. Appraisals go a long way. Once you keep, Pastor Matthew Olowoshayo, one of my pastors, a redeemed pastor, he said something and he made all of us laugh. He said he was going to get, was it a fridge or a freezer that day? So he went to a party. The way he was dressed, the musician called to ask what's his name. He said it's Matthew Olowoshayo, called out his name. And then because the guy was saying all sorts of things, that his head was becoming bigger, and then next thing you know, the money for the fridge or whatever he wanted to get, he used it all up on that guy. And then when the whole thing was over, he was like, what? What did he just do? All his money is gone. Like,
that's the power of the tongue.
Exactly. That's the power of appraisals. When you say something to hype someone, it gives you that morale. It gives you that, you know, hyping that individual, and it goes a lot, both big and small. Once you say something nice, the person, there's always this joy within that it happens. So it resonates with all human beings.
It's good because appraisal, even in the civil service, there's something we call performance appraisal, you know, which comes with a promotion, and of course, appraising people make them do more. Exactly. It's like, oh, this thing you're doing is good, but some persons will tell you good work is more work, hard work is more work.
Hard work is more work.
But that's notwithstanding.
I think I know the person that says that, beautiful, let me not call up her name, but she knows that we're talking about her right now. Our amazing GM.
Well, it's so
good. Good work.
Yeah, hard work is more work.
Hard work.
Well, by the time, it's one thing to be hardworking, and it's one thing to for the hard work to be good,
and
because
rewarded.
And rewarded. No, if there's no reward for it, then it's not good anymore.
Yeah.
Because the reason why a particular work is good is because there is a reward for it. And as you set out this morning to your office, to your business places, you need to do something extra, you know, so that you can be extraordinary, and that makes you stand out. And of course, there is one just little thing. Okay, that courtesy, that little courtesy may make that customer come back again. You know, and it's so unfortunate that some persons, you get to their offices, they are not there when they are supposed to be there. You get to their business, they are where they sell. You know, I don't know, but then for people who sell, there are rush hours. You know, in the morning, people want to take breakfast, kids want to go to school. Some persons couldn't get everything last night. So this morning, there is that rush, you know, to buy. Then at noon, it reduces a little bit. Then in the evening again, when people are getting ready for dinner and all of that, even though at noon, they still sell. But what happens when you oversleep and your office is closed, your shop is closed, people come look for you and they are not there? That means the hard work is not there. Hard work needs to come with a lot of wisdom, all right? And there's the difference between working smart and working hard. Some people work hard without results, you know, but when you work hard with that little touch of smartness, it gives you more results. And that's where the ICT, the tech comes in. Well, for those who know anyway.
Very true, well spoken. I think we need to work smart and to get that result of hard work for that very broad patronage. But at this point, it's great to be here. Weekend, amazing. How was your weekend, Ramsey? Although some of us, we worked during the weekend. We're here Saturday, but you know how the job is. Like most of us will say, the work must go on. We must be there to inform you and give you all the best when it comes to news and current affairs. All right, let's quickly go on a very quick break. The program continues shortly. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. All right, you're welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, this is Global Morning on Global Television. And in the world of politics now, some of the major issues making rounds. And Ramsey was just, you know, we were talking briefly about the former president, the wife of the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, throwing her weight behind our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the return of 2027. And she is in great support when it comes to that. Ramsey, how is this all playing out when some individuals want Jonathan to run? Like, seriously?
I think the way it's actually panning out, women supporting women. That's what it means. Because we're waiting. I've not really heard, you know, Jonathan is of the People's Democratic Party.
PDP, yes.
Then the wife throwing her wings behind the wife of the now president, who is APC.
Really?
Speaks of capacity. You know, I tell people we have come to the time where we don't look at the individual, but the capacity and ability to deliver.
Very important.
You know, for the wife of the former president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, to say, all right, I will campaign for Remi Tinubu, her excellency, in 2027. It speaks volume.
It does.
And you know, there is one thing about Goodluck Jonathan. Throughout her period in office, there were slangs, all right? Slangs, you know, some statements she has made that, in fact, anywhere you mention it, people, you know, people relate. So imagine that kind of person coming to stand on the podium to talk in support of someone at a campaign ground. You know, people will laugh and people will have a take home always when she speaks. You understand? And the bottom line is it's going to make a lot of wave. But then we'll keep saying it. 2027 is not here yet. But then a lot of people are already politicking towards 2027. Like they said, is the earlier the better for some persons.
The earlier the better, but a lot of people will actually raise their eyebrows when it comes to issues and wonder what is going on. Your husband is a PDP member, and then you're coming out to support APC. That's people that I feel are myopic, that do not understand that it's not all about the party, it's all about what you can deliver, like you mentioned. It's what you are giving to the people. And then if you look, although we might not understand, some people some people do not work with numbers. Some people will tell you that we're paying up our debt gradually when it comes to issues like this. Governors are now succumbing to what the president is saying. He's making a lot of impact, clearing out debt, and some governors who are coming out to support him is because he has made a major impact in their state and all of that. But at the same time, we have to just sit back and watch and understand that it's not all about the party, it's what you can deliver. For most people that do not resonate with numbers, percentage, some people do not understand when you say so far the administration has a 90% high value, you speak all these long figure language, and people are wondering, okay, wait a minute, when I go to the market, please, is the cost of living still high or low? Once I can understand or make my that little input that comes to, I don't have to buy things at a high cost, transportation is okay, fuel is fine, there is employment, healthcare, education sector, I can pay school fees. I don't. Individuals who say that their kids go to school like 3 times in a week, they can now go 5 times in a week, and then you go to the next bus station, and they tell you instead of 300 naira from central area to Maraba, you can now pay 100 naira, 150. Once I feel that impact, I know, okay, something good is happening. That's how people can actually understand that something good is happening. But for individuals who do not see anything in it, but let's just see at the long run, let's see how well this plays out, and why so much support, so much backings for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his return. A lot of people are backing, a lot of people, like Anambra State, for instance, people will say, is it because of the commissioning that took place that is making Soludo stand behind Tinubu? A lot of people are coming out to say, okay, fine, this president. Of course, Imo State also, a lot of governors are coming out to say, hey, they want him to return for 2027. And, a lot of issues surrounding all of that. And, of course, let's not forget the defection that is happening here and there. Really, it is a lot to handle, like, seriously. But let's just see how well this plays out. But a one-party system, I'm not too sure about that, but let's just see how it is. And let's move over to Port Harcourt now, River State, talking about Fubara. What's he saying? It seems like Fubara.
Well, Fubara is saying he's not so curious about the seat anymore.
He's not?
That's what he said, that he's not eager to return.
Not eager?
He said he's not eager. He's not. Well, while I saw that, I was like, hey, come on, what's happening? Are we going to hear something after? Is something about happening? Well, the administrator is on top of his game. He's on top of his game. He's doing what he knows how to do. And, a politician is a politician.
No matter
An
what.
administrator, a former military officer is a military officer. These are two different things. But the story this morning is that Fubara is saying he's not eager, he's not desperate. That's the word he used. He said he's not desperate to return back to office. That's what he said.
Meaning he has more peace of mind.
He said he has more peace of mind.
Really?
That he's losing interest even in the position, but then he is not desperate to return to office.
Okay.
Yeah, meaning if he returns, fine. If he doesn't return, he'll get back to the drawing table and know what's next and where next. You mustn't take that away. What's next and where next? Because that's the talk of town right now.
Really?
Defection everywhere. And you don't know where next the other person is going to be going. You know how many people APC have right now at the National Assembly? People are defecting from other parties to the ruling party. Governors, senators, House of Rep members.
Yes.
The defection is so much. And PDP is converging an emergency meeting. I don't know. I am thinking all of this is coming too late. That's what I feel. Because that issue was supposed to be handled before now.
Way before
and
now.
if you ask them, they have their standpoints. Because a housing disorder, this is politics here. People are looking at, politicians are calculating into the next 10 years from now. That's what they do. And there's a way they look at this political practice, which is viable. It's just like you doing a business and you feel, well, this location, all right, what will I sell that people will buy, will patronize me? You know, that's what a businessman considers. For politics, you need to look at the political practice, study the ideologies, and know where they are heading to. If it doesn't meet up with your aspiration of 10 years, then you begin to think of what's next to do. When there is fight everywhere in Labour Party, in the People's Democratic Party, the next place to run to, we are not saying there are no little internal crises in APC, but then they've been able to manage this situation. I could remember in one of their NEC meetings, the president was talking to people who are aggrieved, and everything was settled. Everybody who were disgruntled, everybody had their peace and all of that, and they moved on. That's what we expected to happen in all these other political parties. In a situation where you hear different things every day, disagreements, you know, things not working smoothly. Somebody who have an aspiration of 10 years from now, and he discovered that, well, this party is not the vehicle that will convey me to that place that I want to be in 10 years' time. That person will start thinking of a vehicle that has a smart engine, all right, not just a good working engine, but an engine that is smart, you know, that can take the person to the location where the person wants to be. And that has resulted to this defection for some persons. Everybody defecting have their reasons why they are defecting, but what a lot of them are saying is that, well, the party is not in order, and they are looking for where they can function very well, and you know, the ruling party. Some of persons are already concluding about 2027, all right, and you know what it means. Success has many brother, failure is an orphan. That is and that's what it's that's what we're seeing right now. Okay, everyone wants to identify with success. Everyone wants to identify with something that is good. I think it's part of what we're happening now. If you can't beat them, you join them.
But we're not looking at the merger that, you know, there was a merger that was supposed to happen, the speculation allegedly with LP and of course other different political parties coming together to form an alliance. But we're not hearing anything about that for now. We do not know how well that's even playing out. If that particular talk will see the light of day, we do not know. But at the same time, we'll just keep our fingers crossed and just hope for the best and just pray that everything that is happening is for the benefit of Nigerians. That is it. It's not for you to take home or to, you know, favor yourself and your families, for the benefit of Nigerians and of course Nigeria as a whole. So let's just see how well this whole thing plays out. If the defection is the way forward to keep us sane and to help us to, you know, reduce the cost of, to improve when it comes to cost of living, transportation, healthcare, employment, electricity, data, all of these things, if it's for the improvement and the betterment of Nigeria, well, so be it. I don't care about the defection.
No, what Nigeria, like you said before we got started, what Nigerians are saying is good dividends of democracy. If they are getting that, see, these Nigerians are very simple people.
Yes, we are.
Nigerians can adapt to situations anytime. So what Nigerians are even saying is, give us the dividends of democracy that were promised. Let's have the basic social amenities. Our hospitals should be working. We should be able to go to school. We should be able to do one or two things that we can. We should be able to buy fuel. We should be able to move from one location to the other. You can go to the market and come back with your bag filled up, rejoicing. The children should be able to hug you to say, Mom, you got my favorite, and all of that. That's what Nigerians are asking for.
People want to eat 3 square meals.
You know, for
day.
3 square meal.
And an individual that the mother has strived so much to actually train that child through school is expecting a comeback when it comes to him giving back.
That's true.
Getting an amazing job and helping his younger ones. So employment is
and
very
reduce the
important.
jackpot syndrome.
And reduce the jackpot syndrome. And getting value worth for, it's very important you get value worth for money when it comes to receiving the salary that is beneficial to what your qualification, not being underpaid. All of this is put into consideration. If defection and whatever it is going on, the merger is going to make a difference and to improve lives and cost of living, well, so be it. I'm in support 100%. But if it's just to benefit one party and their family, now that is something I do not condescend to. And at this point, we're going to be moving on to the newspaper review segment. Do not go anywhere. The program Global Morning continues. Stay tuned.
Welcome back from that break. It is time for us to take you through the national dailies. Let's get to see what the papers are saying this morning. As a matter of fact, a lot happening on the national dailies, beginning from the Vanguard newspaper this morning. On the Vanguard newspaper, I'm beginning from above the nameplate, where we have a lot of very interesting stories. This one says, Conference Hall, experts to transform on government performance at midterm. Details read on page 5. The Defense Minister backtracks, supports Senate Security Summit. Details on page 8. Nigeria others affected as UK clamps down on care workers' visas. Care workers? All right, we'll talk about that much later. State of the nation. One party state will be strongly resisted. Senator Bucknor Akirele is the one saying that. A picture is right there. State of the nation. One party state will be strongly resisted. Okay, we'll talk about that much later. This one says Tinubu receives political stakeholders from Kebbi, Sokoto, and Zamfara. You can see the picture or story right there where he received the political stakeholders from these states. And now to the big story. Despite concern, federal government ramps up domestic borrowing to 10.85 trillion naira. Federal government ramps up domestic borrowing to 10.85 trillion naira. We have some riders to that story. And the first rider says shifts borrowing preference to TBs amidst high interest rates. A second rider, deficit to escalate as oil revenue underperforms. And finally, the last rider says analysts disagree over impact of GDP rebasing on debt ratio. We'll get to talk about this very soon on one of our programs. Then defection, that's the kicker. The 7 PDP governors, Wike ex-governors, others meet on survivor. I take that again, defections, 7 PDP governors, Wike ex-governors, others meet on survivor of the party. Adison says Eno, Kefas, Diri, Fubara absent from the meeting. Internal forces sabotaging Atiku's quest. Okay, quiet effort, I beg your pardon, to stabilize PDP. That's the aide saying that. What is he saying? That internal forces sabotaging Atiku's quiet effort to stabilize the People's Democratic Party. That's what the aide says. This says NPA debunks allegation of multi-billion corruption. Details read on page 24. This kicker says local government polls. Protest trail Lagos APC primaries over Baba Sope's influence. Details read on page 10. I just have to smile while taking that headline. Then from the Water Sport under 20 AFCON is the kicker. Flying Eagles coach vow to clinch World Cup ticket. I feel at least that should give Nigerians a little hope. One rider to that story, and it says as they battle Senegal in quarter-finals. All right, that's what Nigerians are looking up to right now. Yeah, which of these stories catches your fancy? I'm looking at so many stories here. State of the nation, one-party state will be strongly resisted. These things, sometimes it happens automatically without you even knowing. And that's what's happening right now. That's why a lot of people are speculating it, because of the defection. By the time you see the big politicians in one party, what does that mean?
Exactly.
It's tilting towards one-party system, but then somehow, I don't know, some Nigerians are saying it may be difficult, especially people from the opposition. And of course, you want to say something?
Yes, of course. What you've said it makes a lot of sense. But then one other story that piques my fancy is the defection. 7 PDP governors, Wike ex-governors, others meet on survival of People's Democratic Party. I just think it's coming a bit late, like you mentioned. This is something that would have done. They've had internal crisis for a very long time. A lot of internal issues coming up here and there for the from the PDP. And you say for parties who have issues and yet you want to rule a nation, that's a big one. So I think it's coming a bit late. But let's just see how well this will play out. And I hope there will be a survivor strategy. And NPA debunks allegation of multi-billion corruption. Everyone debunks stuff that I said, but they said for every rumor, there's an atom of truth in it. So I think we should get, we should do the needful and do the investigation, basically. That's basically all I have on the Vanguard.
All right, that takes us to the next paper.
Yes, the Nation newspaper, and above the nameplate of the Nation newspaper says, Rivers, PDP governors are busybodies, and the federal government tells Supreme Court. And that's PDP governors are busybodies, okay? And it says here, antelope runs into plane at Asaba Airport. You know, when I read that, I was like, really, what must have gone wrong? What happened to the officials at the airport to actually do that surveillance to see if it's clear, if there's anything? Why would an antelope just run into the runway? That's terrible. And they say experts fault managers.
It's true. You know. That's to tell you that we are not technologically okay yet.
Exactly.
Because you should be able, from the control room, you should be able to see the tarmac.
That's what
every nook and cranny of the tarmac. If anything is there, you should know before.
And notify.
Yeah, notify before the plane even takes off on the runway. You know, this doesn't speak well of Nigeria.
No, it doesn't.
In the face of the world.
It doesn't.
Because an antelope, from where?
From where?
Imagine the distance. We're talking about an airport here. Even though we know that sometimes the runway is very long, that there might be maybe bushes close by as you're trying to take off or something. But then that should be a surveillance camera, all right, that should be able to enable the managers view the whole tarmac until the flight takes off and the control tower takes over.
And then it leads us to the fact that maybe the runway is very bushy that they couldn't even see. You know, some of these things should be grazed in a way that it should be leveled. Maintenance, especially in our airports. Like seriously, some airports you'll be happy. Like I would say for free, Lagos Airport is amazing. But the craze that carries that, you know, that brings out the luggage, they really need to work on that. It's so slow and very annoying sometimes. But at the same time, other airports like the one, like really, the one in Yenengua, you know, you need to look at all of these things. You know, they're not well taken care of. Maintenance, very, very important. And I think if it's too bushy, the needful should be done, you know. But it's just unfortunate. Thank God no lives were lost in that process, because you know what it means for an animal to hit hard. You know, it could affect a lot of things, maybe the engine, and definitely that animal is not going to survive that. Never. It's not it's not possible. And God forbid something would have happened. It would have affected the wings, it would have affected something, and thank God there was no, you know, although people who love animals will tell you, Jade Manson, really, well, at the same time, thank God no lives were lost.
That's the most important. I don't know, does antelope fly?
How can it fly? It's bushmeat now. They'll tell you it's and people eat that. So
I wonder where it came from.
You know how it is.
I'm just wondering.
It's an animal that stays in the bush. So definitely they need to, you know, if there are grasses there, there's a way you landmark what is, you know, places for the runway. The places,
I don't know. Well,
is it bushy?
No matter how bushy it is.
But it shouldn't be. That means because if the grass was level, there is no way the antelope will find it so easy to be hopping and going everywhere. So maybe its bush is really high, and then so a lot of maintenance needs to be done. Really, when it comes to our airport, we need to really look into it, and the right authorities need to really look into it, because this it's life we're talking about, and with the way people act, some of these officials, you know, on the seat, you make it look as if life is nothing. You make it look as if you can get away with it, and it's so wrong.
It's wrong.
It's so painful, because you make it look like it doesn't matter. God forbid, what if it was worse than that? What if the antelope got into the engine part of the plane? I'm not an engineer, but I know that any disruption can cause something very, very dangerous. We should look into and how many passengers were on board. It would have affected them. It would have caused a lot of havoc. So please, we need
if it is even a bird strike in the air, it's even one can even say, okay, that's in the air, you can't control it.
This is on land.
But this is on land before takeoff.
And then that means someone needs to go and check out the airport in Asaba.
No, I think they need to
a land surveillance.
And the cameras also need to be refocused.
I feel maintenance is very important, because if
you know Nigerians' maintenance culture
up like that, I don't think the antelope will find it so, because if it was leveled, the antelope will know that, oh my goodness, there's an oncoming, but he didn't. I'm sure the antelope didn't even see for it to just whisk past. That means, well, I don't know. We need to send someone there to go and check the level of the grass in that Asaba airport. We need to check, and maintenance is very important. I think we don't take maintenance very seriously. I think we should. But like I said, Lagos, they do a lot of maintenance in Lagos. I don't work with them in Lagos. It's just that, you know, Lagos is, you see these things and you know it and you've seen it with your eyes. But I think the needful needs to be done. Really, it's very important. And then moving on now, we're talking about, of course, the midterm review. Of course, we're all going to be waiting to see how well that plays out. And then the Star story that says, one-party controversy, Ganjude, Damagu, Gaban clash. Okay, so let's see what happens there. And the writer says, PDP, SDP chairman, LP tackle APC chair. And basically, that is it. One of the stories there, a woman I respect and I hold in high esteem, an amazing individual, no other person than the president of Defense and Police Officers' Wife Association, no other person than Mrs. C.G. Musa. And she says here, International Nurse Day 2025, caring for nurses straightens economy. And she's, in her words, quote and unquote, it says, nursing is more than a profession. It is about our existence. You are either nursing something or someone is nursing you. And that's a word there. Of course, that's the president, Mrs. Ogogo Gwabin Musa. And she says she is the president, Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association, DIPOWA. Of course, nursing, people don't take nursing seriously sometimes, but now it's something that when you jackpot, you're making millions of naira. Nurses are doing wonders when it comes to, healthcare. There was a time, a friend of mine told me, the nurses were so professional and so good that if the doctors were wasting so much time to attend to her and her children, she goes straight to the nurse and said, please, okay, check, look at us, and this is it, and they do the needful, and they, although it's not the job of the nurse to prescribe, but everything the nurse, prescribes is always right. And, sometimes these nurses should be commended. They should be given the right rewards when it comes to their profession. And nurses are doing an amazing job. Kudos to all nurses out there. We love you. We see what you do. It's not easy, especially when it comes to, childbirth. We see you, especially when it comes to everything you do. There's some amazing nurses out there. Okay, so we love all the nurses. God bless all the nurses all around the world, wherever you are. We celebrate you, and we know that you're nursing something, or a nurse is nursing you at the same time. All right, that's all on the Nation newspaper. So Ramsey is going to take us to the next paper. Ramsey, over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's get to the Nigerian News Direct right now. Above the nameplate, NIMASA refutes concession rumors, unveil digital reform to boost maritime oversight and revenue. Patience Jonathan rules out Aso Rock return, backs Remi Tinubu for 2027. We talked about it while we're getting started. She said, for me, I'm not returning. She said it long ago that she wasn't returning to Aso Rock. All right. But then she wants to throw her wings behind the president's wife, Her Excellency Remi Tinubu. That's fine. 2027 details you can find on page 21. My spirit has left Rivers Government House. Fubara declares. My spirit has left Rivers Government House. That is the suspended governor of Rivers State, Siminalaya Fubara, who is saying this, that his spirit has left the government house, and he said it's not desperate, returning back. So
you know the thing about that, it's a very powerful tool. Like people that will actually look beyond that and say, yeah, he's just saying it. Well, really, once your mind is off something, it's a norm. It doesn't have to be any government parastatal. It doesn't have to be any high. Once your mind is not there, you will not be able to perform. Like when you see a lot of backlash, a lot of, I'm sure he has peace and rest of mind now than when he was on that seat.
See, some people don't know. To be a leader, it's not easy to be a leader.
No, it's
to
not.
lead a country. What I do is I don't blame leaders on time. I take time. All right.
To be in their shoes.
To be in their shoes. I've led at different positions before.
Yeah.
At that little level, I know what it feels. All right, the brainstorming, having to deal with a lot of people with different characters and all of that, upbringing, and you come to talk about people who are leading nations, who are leading communities, who are leading organizations, and it's a big deal. So when somebody said my spirit is no longer in the government house, so many things you can attribute it to so many things. Anyway, let's just keep our fingers crossed and see the aftermath of that statement.
But the truth is, the aftermath of that statement, basically, it has to take a lot of persuasion, a lot of, let me just say, a lot of persuasion for him to come back and still say, okay, fine, I'm coming back. But it's like my mind has been made up. It's just like Ramsey, once your mind is made up about something, there's no going back.
But this
especially when you see the positive side of it, that peace will reign, things will not go bad and they won't blame you, your predecessor will not clamp. For as much as you know how much, I've always said it here, I do not work for the FCT minister, Yeson Wike. I love his, I just feel, anytime I talk about it, I always laugh, because sometimes there's some things he does. He's Mr. Project, he's doing a lot. That doesn't mean I actually support whatever he's doing 100%, but at the same time, he's someone I admire from afar, and for me, he's doing an amazing job. But with this rift that is ongoing back and forth, it's something that is not.
I think there is a little bit of settlement somehow after the meeting in London, after the conditions and everything. But then for Fubara to come out to say, well, his spirit is no longer in the government house, it speaks volume.
And let's not forget what
his spirit may be somewhere else, but not the government house. Then talking about persuasion, like you said, I even feel there is no need persuading someone into governing people, because everyone coming into the office have ideologies, have what they want to do, what they want to achieve, and all of that. But as soon as that push and that zeal is not there anymore, they just go there and they don't do what they are supposed to do. So I feel there is no need persuading anyone into that office. But then to say my spirit is no longer in the government house, it speaks volume. Let's just keep our fingers crossed and see what will come up
and
next.
Let's not forget what the FCT minister Yeson Wike said. He said it wasn't suspension he wanted. He wanted him out completely. The paper that carried that.
You know the FCT minister. He doesn't hide his feelings.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't hide. Mr. Project. See, we don't want to talk so much about the FCT minister this morning.
Exactly, but let's just see how well this whole thing plays out, and hope it's for the best. There's nothing like peace of mind. Hope whatever decision is going to be taken is going to be free, it's going to be fair.
The people of Rivers State should just be happy. Just make them happy, because you are there for them. All right, it's just like the sheep and the shepherd.
Yes, it is.
And so the people should just be happy, and that's all. Now back to the Nigerian News Direct. NDLEA nabs Iran-bound woman concealing cocaine in private parts.
Oh my goodness.
Stomach at Port Harcourt Airport. Well, this is unbecoming. Now to the big story, which is the star story on the Nigerian News Direct. APC will soon split. Ganduje orders may return to PDP. Sule Lamido, details on page 21. And that's going to be the size of the headlines from the Nigerian News Direct this morning as we go to the next paper.
All right, the next newspaper is the Daily Trust newspaper at about this time. And below the nameplate it says, I'm not desperate to return as Rivers governor. And that's from Similai Fubara, which we just spoke about now, saying that he said his spirit has left, that particular seat. And it says, leadership crisis rocks Castina varsity again. And then Nigeria-Senegal in winner burst AFCON on the 20 quarter-final clash. And the star story on the Daily Trust, and you can find that read on page 4 and 5. It says, Ganduje under fire over one-party state comment. And the writer says, Ohaneze, Afenifere, NMPP, Fage, others react. And looking at that now, we're looking at recent Boko Haram attacks on military formations in Borno and Yobe. And unfortunately, the 24th of March 2025, 20 soldiers killed anti-craft weapons. A lot there. March 25th, 2025. Looking at all of these figures and the graph that is shown there, you have to just go out and get yourself a copy. And of course, you can find that read there on the Daily Trust newspaper. And then let's move over to the Punch.
All right, from the Punch newspaper this morning, we have some major headlines. Above the nameplate, PDP insults new board members as governors map party direction. Federal government makes U-turn, endorses Senate Security Summit. Details of that you can find on page 2. Why Jonathan won't run against Tinubu in 2027. Patience is the one talking. That's the wife of the former president. Well, it's either the man is speaking or the woman is speaking. It's either the husband is speaking or the wife is speaking. They are one and the same. They are one and the same. So, for Jonathan's wife to say this, it speaks volume.
It does.
Well, he that have ears should hear what Jonathan's wife is saying. Details you can find on page 7. This one says, I'm not desperate to return as Rivers governor. Fubara is the one saying that. Details on page 9. Now to the star story. Rivers emergency rule is the kicker. Federal government taps ex-AGF. 11 sons as Supreme Court battles looms. A federal government tap ex-AGF. 11 sons as Supreme Court battle looms. Some writers to that story, and the first writer says Supreme Court may release hearing date today. PDP governors legal team prepare as AGF says governors forum lack locus standi. All right, that sounds like a law language. All right, this one says NCAA under fire after plane strikes antelope on taxiway. Yudetiwa Makinde Bamidele salute Afenifere leader Fasoronti at 99. Federal government states add 57 trillion naira to debt in 18 months. Details you can find on page 31 of the Punch newspaper. Well, so much happening right here as far as Rivers State emergency rule is concerned. But the suspended governor is already making some statements here. So, well, whatever comes out of it, we will know. PDP install new board members as governors map party direction. Well, all hands on deck. Let's see how that is actually going to bounce out. I'm not desperate to return to Rivers State government house. Fubara is the one saying that. We've already talked about it. All right. I think we can look at one more paper before we go on a quick break for the AM news at the top of the hour, 8 o'clock.
All right. Of course, the Guardian newspaper at about this time. And below the nameplate, it says here, NPA debunks multi-billion-naira corruption allegation. And you can find that read on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. ASU raises concern over corruption, weak institutions tax federal government. And the story on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper, and that's Peter Obi, and it says, "Your future president, but fight corruption first," Obi tells African youths. You are future presidents, but fight corruption first, Obi tells African youths. And it says here, the star story there says 2.37 trillion naira data expenses compete with food, others as Nigerians ration usage. You can find that very sad read on page 6. And here it says SERAP seeks CBN's disclosure on released funds to LGAs, Rivers cancels. And you can find that read on page 7. And here it says report highlights 2024 as hottest in Africa, warns of climate impact. And you can find that read on page 4. And here it says defections, Wike joins PDP governors meeting in last-ditch effort to save party. And you can find that read on page 6. And it says PDP accuses Imo governor of wasting 2.1 billion naira on pilgrimage. And we'll find that, you can also find that read on page 7. Now page 4 of on the Guardian newspaper says Dame Jonathan endorses Tinubu for 2027 poll. Dame Jonathan endorses Tinubu for 2027 poll, and you can find that read on page 4. LG poll protest trail APC primaries over alleged imposition of candidates. And you can find that read on page 5. And of course, that's the picture of Lagos State Governor Sanwo-Olu there, and doing amazingly in Lagos when it comes to a lot of infrastructure and a lot of goodies that are happening in Lagos. And basically, that is all on the Guardian newspaper. But since Ramsey says that's all we can take right now.
Yeah, because of our time. I think the only major headline on the Daily Times, which is the last, is our campaign for Tinubu in 2027. Patience Jonathan.
Yeah, exactly.
It's everywhere on all the papers.
It's everywhere on all
she's
the
out,
papers. So it shows maybe, she's, like I mentioned, she and her husband are one and the same.
No, I wanted saying people should find out from Jonathan.
If it's true.
If it's true.
They're one and the same. They can one kind of
this is party. This is two brothers can belong to two different political parties. Exactly. Husband and wife have the liberty to support any party of their choice. But then this very one, I know maybe someone, I don't know, but it could be that there might be unison somewhere, as the case may be, but then I think she's coming out to say her mind.
But for me, there is a big question mark on it, because one, her husband is a PDP member.
Not just a member, a president.
Exactly.
A president under the People's Democratic Party.
Yes, he is. Let's look at it. He's someone that is one of the strong hands in the PDP, I would say. And now your wife comes out and she's in support of an APC, party, APC party. And then you just wonder, you say to yourself, what is really going on? Women, we have a lot of ways to get the attention of a man. I hope there's nothing happening in the love nest or love paradise that she'll come out and do. But we just have to keep our feet. It's just speculations, allegations, allegedly, like in the voice of Two-Face. But let's just see how well this plays out, and at this point, this is the end of the newspaper review. Up next is AM News on Global Television. Do not go anywhere. Global Morning continues. Stay tuned.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews, latest news with experts on key global issues,
and at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
disbursing upkeep of 20,000 naira.
Know that you cannot talk about a healthy nation if you don't have means to produce your own in addition to importing.
Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global Television. Coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Jumai Manson. A quick reminder that Global Television's on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. You can download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. Now the news in full. Rivers State government has called for straightened collaboration between security agencies, community stakeholders, and residents to combat sea piracy, illegal oil bunkering, and other forms of criminality in the state. The state sole administrator, retired Vice Admiral Ibok Etik Ekwe Bass, gave the charge during a town hall security stakeholders meeting held in Opobo Town. Ipas, represented by the State Commissioner of Police Olugbenga Adekpoju, emphasized the need for collective effort to safeguard critical government assets and infrastructure. Former First Lady Dame Patient Jonathan says she will not seek a return to Aso Rock Villa, opting instead to campaign alongside Senator Oluremi Tinubu for the 2027 general election. Jonathan made the statement while receiving an onward award from in Abuja, acknowledging Folashade Tinubu Ojo, the president's daughter, and Iyaloja General of Nigeria. The former First Lady, who has long supported the idea of rational leadership, emphasized the importance of unity and national progression under what is widely regarded as a turn-by-turn system. A civil society organization and Concerned Nigerians Citizens Network for Democracy has issued a 72-hour ultimatum to the government of Benue and Zamfara State, demanding the immediate recall of all suspended lawmakers or face legal action, aimed at halting statutory federal allocations to both states. In a statement released in Abuja and signed by its Secretary General Moses Adamu, the group accused the two state houses of assembly of operating in violation of the Nigerian Constitution, alleging that lack the legal quorum required to function or pass appropriation bills. The group vowed to approach the Federal High Court to compel the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Accountant General of the Federation to suspend monthly allocation disbursements to the state until constitutional order is restored. Now, in a wider consultation on how to address the wave of defections and crisis rocking People's Democratic Party, governors elected on the platform have invited former governors and other stakeholders of the party to a meeting in Abuja. An insider says the governors also summoned members of the Board of Trustees and former presiding officers of the National Assembly. PDP leaders will address key issues, including the upcoming National Executive Committee meeting and the National Executive Convention at the expanding meeting. Meanwhile, a forum of the ruling All Progressive Congress APC in the North Central Geopolitical Zone has called on Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule to align with other party leaders supporting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration and his potential re-election bid in 2027. Operating under the aegis of the North Central APC Forum, the group urged Governor Sule to declare his stance on Tinubu's administration following recent remarks made by the governor regarding the political direction of the defunct Congress of Progressive Change, CPC, bloc within the APC. The CPC was one of the parties that merged to form the APC. Recently, members of the CPC bloc have been courted by an opposition coalition led by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and ex-Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai. Over now to human rights lawyer and senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, has demanded a probe into what he described as the diversion of a $3.4 billion loan from the International Monetary Fund. Last week, the International Monetary Fund confirmed that Nigeria had fully repaid the $3.4 billion in COVID-19 financial support it received under the Rapid Financing Instrument. Although Nigeria's principal balance stands at zero, scheduled charges, including net charges, basic interest, and administrative fees, amount to SDR 2.599 million at the current exchange rate. This translates to approximately 275.28 billion naira. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions, Senator Neda Imoasung, has urged the federal government to reinforce security in troubled Edo communities. Imoasung, a Labour Party senator representing the Edo South Senatorial District in Red Chamber, said in Benin that this is the only way peace can fully return to the affected communities. Maswen also stated that the popular interest remains the key driver of his agenda at the National Assembly, and he has worked to ensure that the bills he sponsors and the project he undertakes are people-oriented. The National Chairman of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje, has assured Nigerians that the recent influx of defectors, including 3 sitting senators from Kebbi State, will be managed smoothly in line with the party's constitution and established mechanisms. Speaking to journalists after leading the defecting lawmakers to meet President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa in Abuja, the APC chairman emphasized that the APC remains a disciplined and structured party capable of observing new members without disruption. Kikelomo Okere completes the report. We apologize. That report will be brought in a subsequent bulletin. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAM, has announced the official release of 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination UTME results. JAM Registrar Professor Ishak Oloyede disclosed this during the official release of the 2025 UTME results in Abuja. Moving on now, following the signing of concession agreement, the Benue State government has finalized agreements with Resodene Group Limited for the implementation of the Food City project in the state. The project is aimed at promoting food production and processing of agricultural products. Our correspondent, Felicity Indere, completes the story.
Barely 1 month ago, the Benue State government entered into a memorandum of understanding with Resodene Group Limited for the establishment of National Food Security Complex in the state. The signing of concession agreement for the project in Otukpo is coming after due diligence as regards the terms of engagement and consultation with relevant stakeholders.
I have signed a lot of memorandum of understanding MOU since I came on board. Some, they use it only to collect loans and go back. Your case will not be like that in Jesus' name. Amen. If you do like that, we will sanction you.
We sent your due diligence documentation, your project design documents, your architectural design documents, and all of those, your financial model, to 13 MDAs to provide expert advice on the various components of your project. I'm also happy to inform you that all of those came back positive. We wrote to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and also received a positive response on your project. Just like the Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture has said, as far as human logic is concerned, we have done what we need to do.
For some of the partnering agencies and parastatals, the implementation of the project will be of immense benefit to the state in the areas of food processing, employment generation, and boosting of internally generated revenue.
What this seeks to do is to create a hub for the Benue people to be able to provide food security, not just for itself, but also for other people across across Nigeria.
The project, according to implementing partners, will be carried out in phase with that of Otukpo being a pilot scheme.
The state has to actually live to our potentials as the food basket of the nation. That's why I said it's divinely orchestrated, because the state has had this name even before we came up with the idea of National Food City Complex. So I can assure you, by the grace of God, our gathering today, in the next 60 days, we shall be talking about the milestone of what we have achieved physically on ground.
The investors are to establish and manage for 25 years, after which they will hand over to the state government as co-partners. Felicity Indere reporting for Global TV News, Makudi.
The Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 10, comprising Sokoto, Kebbi, and Zamfara states, has charged officers of Zamfara State Police Command to redouble their effort in tackling the security challenges in the state. AIG Gingong Germer made the call during his maiden visit to the command headquarters in Gusau, the state capital. Kabir Hassan has details.
The Assistant Inspector General of Police, Geron Girma, arrived at the Zamfara State Police Command headquarters for the first time since assuming office as AIG Zone 10. He was received by senior officers and inspected the quarter guard mounted in his honor before proceeding to the command conference hall. Addressing officers of the command, AIG Goran Girma commended their efforts and sacrifices in maintaining law and orders across the state. He emphasizes the need for renewed commitment and professionalism in confronting the persistent security threat facing Zamfara State.
And so, I didn't come here to bring any tension or to raise any temperature. If anybody's temperature is high, bring it down. If you have BP, it will go down now. Just be your natural self. Be calm. Situations will never finish. And you are not experiencing anything new. Others have experienced what you are experiencing. But their level of calmness must have helped them to sort themselves out and finish well.
The State Commissioner of Police, Ibrahim Maikaba, in his remarks, appealed for enhanced operational equipment. He stressed the importance of improved mobility, communication gadgets, and continuous intelligence sharing.
And 20 divisions and 36 police outstations. It is of security importance to let the AIG have an overview of the crime situation in Zamfara State, which among others include cattle rustling, kidnapping and abduction, culpable homicide, armed robberies, and reprisal attacks. These are serious security challenges facing the command. However, the command, in its effort to stem the tide of these security challenges, has improved and sustained its crime-fighting strategies that covered all the 40 local government areas in the state. Challenges of the command. The command is confronted by enormous challenges that affect the existing security arrangement in the state, notable among which are manpower. Daily and periodic transfer of officers out of the command without replacement has greatly depleted the strength of the command, thereby making our crime-fighting strategy and efforts to be very, very ineffective. So I'm pleading with the AIG to help us prevail on at least 4 headquarters to help us and make sure that whenever there are transfers that affect the state command, there should be replacements.
The visit is seen as a memorable booster for officers and men of Zamfara Police Command as the leadership of the force continues to demonstrate its commitment to strengthening internal security and the region. Hassan Kabir reporting for Global TV.
Benue State is widely recognized as a food basket of the nation, thanks to its predominantly farming population and impressive agricultural output. As the planting season progresses, our correspondent Felicity Ndere explores one of the state's cherished traditional dishes, pounded yam. Felicity Ndere reports.
Yam, the primary ingredient for pounded yam, symbolizes abundance and prosperity, making it a key feature of cultural celebrations and ceremonies. For the people of Benue, pounded yam is more than just a meal. It represents cultural heritage, unity, and communal joy. During the farming season, farmers go to great lengths to ensure a successful and bountiful harvest, saying that its importance can never be overemphasized.
I've been farming yam for over 35 years now, so I'm conversant with yam, and that is my main product. Even in my farm, I don't even support it with cassava as other people do. I farm yam separate, and if I like, I farm cassava separate. Because yam, at our community, particularly the tea people, that's our major cash crop, yam. At least you farm yam for consumption, you farm yam to sell and get money. Farmers, they should not relent in their efforts. Even if we don't have fertilizer, we farm whatever thing we can get as a result of the one we planted, even if it is small. If we cannot sell again, we eat. Because without fertilizer and this necessary herbicides, it's difficult to farm yam in a good quantity because our soil have grown bad. So we need fertilizer.
For Reverend Innocent Alike and Teso Adamu, eating pounded yam provide lasting energy for daily activities and bodily functions. It also gives them a sense of belonging to the Tiv nation, known worldwide for their love of pounded yam.
I eat pounded yam more than a Tiv man because I'm praying to God that God should not allow any sickness that will take away pounded yam in my life, because if I eat pounded yam, I will sleep well and my body become heavy.
It is eaten by most Nigerians, but especially among the tea people of Benue State, Nigeria, because they are the largest producers of yam in Africa. So when you eat pounded yam, it's apart from satisfying your hunger, it gives you strength.
According to nutritionists, pounded yam is an excellent source of carbohydrate that provides long-lasting energy. It also contains vital nutrients, including vitamin C and B6, along with important minerals like potassium.
The people that are diabetic avoid pounded yam.
In Benue State, pounded yam is a symbol of tradition, identity, and unity. Rooted in the state's agricultural success, it reflects the rich cultural heritage and the strong spirit of its people. Felicity Ndere, Global TV News in Makurdi.
Goruba, the dome plant, is regarded as a skull fruit known in northern Nigeria as an excellent brain superfood, even though its origin is from Egypt, but can now be found and cultivated and domesticated in Nigeria. Goruba is now used for different purposes, ranging from tea to traditional medicine. Correspondent Idris Jabir takes a look at this fruit as a rich source of sugar, protein, and fat.
In Kano, dome fruit, otherwise known as goruba, is brought from Guru in Yobe State and other states across northern Nigeria.
In Kano, dome fruit, otherwise known as goruba, is brought up from Guru in Yobe State and other states across northern Nigeria. Goruba is actually brought from Guru, Machina, and several other local governments in Yobe State, and many people do buy goruba to take care of their health-related problems.
The fruit is a popular component of tea preparation consumed for refreshment, regulation of body weight, and blood glucose.
Dome fruit tea is used to regulate blood pressure, body weight, and body glucose. And at the moment, several people used to come here to either buy the tea or the goruba itself.
For several years, many youth in Kano are involved in the business of dome fruits. They sell it in shops and along major streets in Kano State. They say the trade has been paying off, especially because it's used as traditional medicine, which cure various diseases.
We do sell goruba here, and there are many of us who earn a living through the business. It has helped us to take care of our several problems, which include helping our parents.
Experts say the use of goruba, either consumed as tea or raw fruit, has proven to be beneficial to people with blood-related diseases. From Kano, Idris Jubrin reporting for Global Television News.
You're watching live broadcast of AM News. Zelensky announces May 15 for Russia-Ukraine peace talks. Details coming shortly, plus sports and foreign stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is AM News on Global Television. Thank you for staying with us. On our business desk now, the Pan-African Manufacturers Association, PAMA, has called on African government to prioritize recycling and circular economy strategies over sweeping bans on single-use plastics, warning that the growing trend of outright prohibitions poses a major threat to the continent's fragile manufacturing base. The association noted in a statement that the recent wave of plastic bans across Africa, including Nigeria's phased ban on single-use plastics in federal government offices, may endanger local industries, especially small and medium-scale manufacturers. The key cited Kenya's 2017 ban on plastic bags and Rwanda's earlier restrictions as examples of poorly planned transitions that led to business closure and job losses. Kano, the commercial city in northern Nigeria, has been a trade hub for grains and textiles since the colonial era, and today the resilient shoemaking business in Kofa Wambai market employs hundreds and thousands of people working at various stages of the manufacturing process. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has called on the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to disclose whether it has commenced the direct disbursement of funds to the 774 local government areas in the country from the Federation account and to publicly release details of the allocations. The group made the call in a post made via its X account following recent public concerns over the alleged mismanagement of local government funds by state governors, who have been accused of diverting federal allocations meant for local government councils. Cocoa has settled at $9,187 per ton at the New York Commodity Exchange as Africa's most populous country, Nigeria, seeks to reduce its over-reliance on crude oil earnings. Investors have renewed their interest in cocoa beans as prices skyrocketed due to Nigeria's attempt to diversify its oil-dependent economy. United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization data showed Nigeria remained the world's 7th largest cocoa bean producer, with production exceeding 280,000 tons in 2023. On the foreign scene, and the embassy of the People's Republic of China in Nigeria has refuted a media report by the Athletes Federation of Nigeria, AFN, in which it blamed its withdrawal from the Guangzhou World Athletics Relay scheduled to hold in China between May 10th and 11th on the delays issuance of visas by Chinese authorities. According to the statement issued by the embassy, the delay was caused by the Nigerian authority, which took over 10 days to provide the necessary documents requested by the embassy to process the visas. The embassy regretted the inability of Nigerian athletes to participate in events in China, insisting that the statement issued by the federation was evidently inconsistent with the facts. And over now to our sports news. The 2025 Nigerian Women's Football League Premiership Super 6 playoff has kicked off at the Remo Stars Stadium in Kenya with the tightly contested matches. As the country's top team begin their quest for the league crown and a place in the 2025 Confederation of African Football Women's Champion League, the earlier kickoff saw Nasarawa Amazons come from behind to edge Niger Rattles 2-1 in a lively North Central derby. The one-day-at-a-time girls struck first through Rita Sebes, whose well-hit free kick in the 30th minute gave the FCT-based side a dream start. And as we end the AM news, let's take a quick look at our top stories again. Former First Lady Dame Patient Jonathan says she will not seek a return to Aso Rock Villa, opting instead to campaign alongside Senator Oluremi Tinubu for the 2027 general election. On business, we brought you that cocoa has settled at $9,187 per ton at the New York Commodity Exchange, at Africa's most populous country. Nigeria seeks to reduce its over-reliance on crude oil earnings. And on the same business scene, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky says that Kyiv would meet with Moscow for talks in Istanbul on May 15th, insisting that Russia must first commit to a 30-day ceasefire starting from today, Monday. And finally, on sports, we brought to you that 2025 Nigerian Women's Football League Premiership Super 6 playoff has kicked off at the Remo Stars Stadium in Ikenne with 3 tightly contested matches as the country's top team begin their quest for the league crown and place in the 2025 Confederation of African Football Women's Champions League. And that's it on Global TV AM News. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. And kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen by using Global TV NG. You can download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. Global Morning continues.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
disbursing upkeep of 20,000 naira.
Know that you cannot talk about a healthy nation if you don't have means to produce your own in addition to importing.
The CG is the principal actor of this because it's within her jurisdiction. Minister is a supervisor.
We must run in accordance with the Constitution of CAN, where you have just a single time.
The human factor, you have the infrastructural factor, then you have the mechanical factors.
The Senate, with all due respect,
Welcome back from the news at 8 a.m. DM News on Global Television. It is still Global Morning, and this is the first discussion for the day. We want to look at SERAP, the activities of SERAP. As a matter of fact, SERAP is urging the Central Bank of Nigeria to make Nigerians disclose the amount disbursed to the 774 local government areas in Nigeria from the Federation account. You could remember the local government autonomy when it was actually declared, the court judgment said they should be given autonomy. Then after that, we've had that some disbursements and so many other things have happened. And today we want to look at the fact that SERAP is asking the Central Bank of Nigeria to disclose amounts disbursed to these local government councils. Is it necessary? Why is it necessary? SERAP has come out with a lot in the past, and we are actually going to be following it gradually, why it is necessary, if it is necessary at all, if it is not necessary, why it is not necessary. What about other parastatals, agencies that are also being funded by the federal government? Do we get to know what is going in there? Or it is still the handiwork of the governors, like some persons have said in the past? All of this will be forming the basis for our discussion today. And joining me on the discussion is a legal practitioner who knows what to be done and when it should be done. And he is also a public affairs analyst. It's good to have you join us. His name is Monday Eje. It's good to have you join us this morning.
It's a pleasure to be here again this morning.
You're a barrister, so I'm rest assured that all of these things, because first of all, the judgment came from the court that local government should be given autonomy. And autonomy is you should now be on your own, and of course a disbursement should be done directly to you and not through the state government anymore. And now SERAP is coming out to say, well, whatever that is being given to the local government, we should know, Nigerians should know, people should know, it should be disclosed by the Central Bank of Nigeria from where the Federation account is being disbursed to the local government, money from the Federation account. What do you think about that? Is he asking for too much?
It's not an issue of asking for too much. Let me be very, very straight with respect to the demands for SERAP or from SERAP. If you look at the name SERAP itself, you will agree with me that they will hold anybody within the system accountable. So, because accountability is one of the keywords in their name, socio-economic and accountability, rights and accountability project. So, it's just because many of us as citizens have failed to hold our leaders accountable that bodies like SERAP assist in holding them accountable, and when they do so, it hits the headlines. Now, we have a situation where our constitution has clearly stated that there are 3 tiers of government. You have the federal government, you have the state, and then you have the local government areas or local government councils, whichever adjective you choose to use to describe them. Now, having this scenario, we've realized over the years that the 3rd tier, which is the local government areas or councils, and which is the closest to the people, is actually not doing anything. They are moribund. You just, initially you have people elected into area councils, you have them making bylaws, you have the local government chairman, and etc., etc. But at some point, that ceased. You begin to hear things like caretaker committees here and there. Governors come and they just move out even democratic elected local governments. So many begin to wonder why we have situations like that. And then it became public at some point in time because they don't do anything at all. Like primary health care and some other things are supposed to be the things they will do. There are roads that are supposed to be constructed or managed or maintained by the local government areas, which are not being done. So at the end of the day, you see that there's a detachment of the people from governance, because whatever the people will feel should be first felt from the local government areas, and which is the basis why, the reasons why we have a lot of people expecting so much from the federal government. So whether it was research, investigations, but I know, like many other people do know, that what gets to the local government goes through the states. And once it gets to the states determine how that money or the monies will be spent. Well, for those governors who feel they should be, they should do 1 or 2 things, add some of those monies to whatever project they are going to do at the state level. And for those irresponsible, highly irresponsible governors who don't feel like doing anything, they just want to, they see it as their privileged position as a means to amass wealth, they pocket the monies. And then they tell the local government chairman, sign that you collected the 10 naira sent to you. I've given you 2 naira, but sign that you got 10 naira. And they struggle to even pay salaries. Initially, area council, the councillors at the area council, which is the legislative arm of the local government area, they are well paid. Initially, in the Obasanjo, early Obasanjo days, they are well paid. You see people that are exposed, enlightened, wanting to contest for that position. Today, the story is different. When you walk into a local government area, it's like a desert. It's almost empty. The only services you can get from there, if you want to do certificate of origin and so on and so forth, you just walk into one office, they get. Apart from that, nothing is happening. The councillors, they go to their farms at the end of the month, whatever comes to them gets to them. So this has been the situation. And then people now feel, oh, governments felt, oh, this shouldn't be the scenario. And then they hit the courtrooms, and the Supreme Court says, look, nobody should touch the monies for local government areas. Let their funds go to them directly. So we were on that, and then, let me just add this a little. Then we also had the one for the judiciary. Now, while the one for the local government area councils goes to the issue of the tiers of government, the judicial angle to it goes to the issue of the 3 organs of government. Now, in the middle of it is the executive. That's headed by the governor. The governors hold the judiciary by the jugular because they control the funds that should go to them, and they also hold the local government areas by the jugular, and they have their own allocations coming to them. And that's the reason why they used to appear to be very powerful. There is a lot of resources, and then they have their security votes to throw around and rig elections and want to appear to want to control who even becomes the president at the end of the day. I will go to the political, what I perceive is politically happening with respect to some of those decisions as well. The decisions are good, but could or probably might be politically motivated, because these governors are so powerful with these resources. Now you now have judgments. Let what should go to the local government areas directly go to them, and then let what should go to the judiciary also directly go to the judiciary. And some governors went to court to challenge some of these arrangements, maybe on the basis that yes, it ought to be a state local government joint account, what it cannot go to them directly, it must still pass. They proceeded, and many of them too have refused to comply with the judicial arm. But at the end of the day, we now need to know, because rumors are out there through the grapevine that some local governments have come forward to meet the requirements or preconditions for payments to them directly, and some have not done that. Reasons, maybe there are some formalities from their end that ought to have been done that were not done, and so on. These are issues that we are entitled to as citizens. We are entitled to know exactly what the scenario is. Have the local governments met these conditions? What exactly are the conditions that is being required of them by the CBN? And if they've not met those conditions, why have they not met the conditions? Is it that the governors are refusing to allow them to go forth to meet the conditions, or there are litigations here and there that are stopping them to proceed? What exactly is the challenge? So SERAP is absolutely correct to ask these questions. And then it is also proper that there shouldn't even be, we are not even talking about giving a response. A response should be given to that request. What we should be talking about here is how fast the response should come. But you know, as is typical of this country, maybe they are going to respond or not. It's still another issue.
But nobody asked when this fund was going through the state governors, why now that is going straight to, though I know accountability is very important and I know it is necessary, the federal government may have set up an apparatus to checkmate the activities of the council since the fund is going directly. But then, before now, have we had reasons to ask questions of how this money is being used by the governor when it was not going straight to the local government?
This is the part of the political questions, and I'm going to be very frank. Whether we like it or not, no, we are used to the fact that our political parties do not have an ideological base, or maybe they have it on paper, but they are not being articulated now. But many of those in the APC, particularly those of the ACN extraction, have been pushing as opposition for true federalism. Now, the idea or ideological basis for true federalism is the reason why this push is coming up at this period, because most of these things, or basically all of it, happened under the APC government from Buhari's tenure, and then, you know, we are still pushing. Now, it makes sense, political sense to me, to say that, oh, since these men have been urging and pushing for true federalism, they are looking for ways to achieve that based on current laws. For example, I'm aware that Lagos State, for example, was the state who went to court over the issue of, I think, waterways. Which of the waterways should be controlled by the state and which one should be controlled by the federal government, which is a kind of telling the court to determine whether if the federal government, because before that time, the federal government was controlling all the waterways. Now, what they've done is to edge themselves out, and by virtue of that, the states at large, other states are being now involved, because they can now take benefit of that law to create some form of federal structure. And now, if true federalism will work, it means that each of these tiers of government must be independent and autonomous financially and almost politically. What the federal government should ordinarily be doing is exercising those powers, those functions, carrying out those responsibilities that are donated to it by the component units. So it's no surprise to me that they pushed for judicial autonomy, that they pushed for local government autonomy or financial autonomy, and so on. And there's one interesting aspect of the judgment. The judgment says, do not give these fundings to local government areas that are not manned by democratically elected people. In other words, the caretaker angle and the whims and caprices we see the governors exhibit are technically taken out. Now, the issue now is with the enforcement. And what SERAP is trying to achieve by this is to hold the federal government accountable, or those who appear to be the ones that will enforce this Supreme Court judgment accountable for enforcement. This judgment, has it been enforced? To what extent has it been enforced? Impliedly, that's the intent of that request for information from the CBN.
All right. Some persons are thinking, because it is a two-way traffic right now, some persons are saying, we don't even know if this money is really getting to the local government, like it's been said on paper. And some persons are saying, if it is getting there, let's know how much. So right now, it is two-sided, all right, to know if this money is really being disbursed or not. We are not sure if this money is being disbursed. Now, that's one. So if the money is not being disbursed, what should be done? Then secondly, don't you think, because we're talking about power here, you talked about how powerful the governors became because of the kind of fund they access, especially diverting that of the local government council, because there are boys there. I'm giving you 2. You can take 1. You can just say, I gave you 5, and take 1.5 for yourself and do whatever you want to do. And we have a lot of people being owed at the local government council. How can the powers of, because you are a legal practitioner, how can the powers of the local government chairman be checked so that they don't overdo themselves? You know what money does.
Now, you see, the way my mind is working when I put all these pictures together is, yes, it's good. The trajectory so far is good. True federalism is good. But you know, the governors in the middle don't want it implemented because it reduces their influence. It reduces their power and strength. It gives the federal government or the president more power and strength. So if the local government chairman is getting his allocation straight, there is an extent to which the governor can push him around. I understand that, yes, most of the times when you have a particular party, whether it's PDP or APC, governing a particular state, eventually the local government chairman will emerge from that party, putting into consideration the kind of democracy we practice, the kind of elections we conduct, which maybe will be a matter for another day. But the level of compliance with respect to the judgment of the Supreme Court is what we do not know. Are they even getting it at all? And you know, SERAP raised a wing, a flank to it. SERAP is also asking that I hope these monies are not being paid to supposed local governments in Rivers State. If the monies are going to Rivers too, who are they going to? And since there are no elected, democratically elected local governments there, by virtue of what the sole administrator did to those that were there, then who holds the funds? We want to know. In Osun State, they've been having issues for a while now with respect to their local government structure and election. Oh, they were supposed to go by December, they conducted an election earlier, maybe around September or so, or something in that like, and then they challenged the constitutionality of it, and the decision, APC is saying, no, it's saying it favors us, PDP is also saying, oh, it's in our favor, and there's violence and so on. Is Osun State receiving this money? If Osun State is receiving this money, who are they paying the monies to? When they are here to settle, the government at that level is not functioning. Or is it Lagos State, where they have, how do we call them now? I'm trying to remember. They created something that wants to appear like extra local government areas, and they tag them, is it community development areas or something. The funds that they release, because all the local government areas in this country, they are listed in the Constitution. For you to create additional ones, you must
visit the Constitution again.
Visit the Constitution again. So outside these ones there, anything you do will be illegal. But Lagos has managed to give whatever they created a different name. Now, the monies that you are releasing, if at all you are complying with the Supreme Court judgment, when it gets to Lagos, how does that fund go? Yes, we understand that, okay, you can even urge the ICPC or the EFCC to proceed to invest, and they have said so, that if they've addressed, I've seen a press statement to the effect that if they give you money as a local government chairman, if you like, give it to your governor at the appropriate time, you'll be held accountable for those funds. Now, this is to say that, yes, these organizations too can call and ask to know the level of compliance with the Supreme Court judgment. But they've not done that. They are just waiting, if they disburse, how do the expenditures go? Are they used for their legitimate cause, or they go to somebody's pocket? Are the contracts within limits? Are they overinflated, and so on and so forth? So these are the twists to it. We are only praying that the CBN will respond and give answers to the questions that SERAP have raised. If they do that, we'll be better informed. All of these hypotheses that we've raised in the course of our conversation will no longer be there. We'll be sure that, XYZ went to Lagos, this local government area, this is what they did. Rivers State is not collecting because they don't have democratically elected governments in place. Meanwhile, Fubara conducted elections at some point. But I heard that the sole administrator overhauled the whole system, which means for me, based on the decision of the Supreme Court, no local government funds should go to Rivers State.
To Rivers State, because they don't have democratically elected leaders.
Political crisis in Osun State, no funding should go there. And for Lagos, if they are elected local government areas, their monies should not be shared between them and these community development areas.
Okay, meaning the Lagos state government should fund the ones they've...
Yes, their own contraption should be funded.
So if they have the capacity to fund it, they can go ahead.
Go ahead and fund their contraption.
And it's not against the law.
I have this community area, I have tagged it this, let them have a chairman. It's within your rights. But whether your INEC will conduct elections for them is another thing. That should not be done. The only option you have, if you want things like that to be done, is to go for an amendment.
That's revisiting the Constitution again.
We've created this out of this. get legislative endorsement, which is going to be difficult. Because states get these allocations, the more local governments they have, the more allocations they get, kind of. So there will be a temptation
to create more.
More. I think that maybe that was the reason why their own ideas were stifled. So all of these issues are issues to be considered. So for those who have, let them take, if they have what do you call it, democratically elected system. Now, how do you get to know this? Apart from basic research that you can do, working from state to state and asking questions and so on and so forth, and putting some interview questions out there and so on. Apart from that, the fastest way is from agencies like the CBN. Yes, we disbursed to this, to this, to this. This is why we disbursed to this and this and this. The CBN and the Attorney General of the Federation are responsible for the level of compliance with that judgment. So if the CBN is not complying, the AG should be bothered, because he's the chief law officer of the country. He should be bothered. He should ask questions. This judgment of the Supreme Court, CBN, why are you not complying with it? Please comply. Oh, this is where we have gone. So I will also urge SERAP, maybe some of us, if we have the time, to apply to the AG to and ask questions with respect to the level of compliance of all of us, as it has to do with local government autonomy and the judicial autonomy.
Oh, okay. If I can get you correctly, what it means now is that we're talking about accountability. Remember, SERAP is socioeconomic and right accountability program. Now, as it is, the supervision and should be both with the CBN to know who is being disbursed to, and also to the local government council to see what is being done with the money being disbursed.
It's very important.
So now, who set up this monitoring committee, as the case may be, or supervisory committee, or people to hold both CBN and, of course, the local government chairman to account?
When we kicked off with this conversation, I did mention that all of us as citizens are supposed to hold our governments accountable.
Okay.
It's because of our complacency or our refusal or neglect or omission to do that, that bodies like SERAP have taken it upon themselves to ask and push for accountability. So number one, every citizen should hold accountable is local government, the state government, and the federal government. Two, when you have a judgment of court, there's what is called enforcement of that judgment. With respect to our discussion, the Attorney General should be concerned with how well that judgment is being enforced. Like I said earlier on, through the grapevine, we don't have the details. We've heard that there are some preconditions that needs to be met, some local governments have not met them and so on. And I said here that that's part of the reason why this call by SERAP is very important. Let's have the details. And if you have disbursed at all, let us know. If I'm the AGF, I won't even waste, immediately I get this news, I'll call CBN, immediately I start seeing these headlines, I ask CBN questions, and then address the nation with respect to compliance with the Supreme Court judgment. Because now it's even state AGFs should be concerned. Why are local governments not receiving funds? And if they are receiving funds, where are the funds going to? And if they are being trapped midway, why is it that they are trapped midway? This is not in compliance with the judgment of the Apex Court. But I don't know what the issues are. I don't know why. One of my lecturers used to give this particular question to every final year student. The question is, who is the client of the Attorney General of the Federation? Highly philosophical question. You can answer it anyhow you like. Just answer the question. Who is the client? Is it the federal government? Is it the citizens? Who exactly is the client of the Attorney Generals? So because many of them, they don't cough, they don't say anything, they don't do anything, they don't ensure enforcement. You even have, there are, until recently, there are certain judgments you want to enforce. If the AG does not approves, that's if the judgment is against public institutions and agencies, it will not be enforced. And there are so many of them there that they have refused to approve. But thank God for recent judgments by the Supreme Court. So these are the issues. They are multifaceted. That's why I said there is a political angle to this stuff, this particular discussion. And there is the legal angle and other angles to it. So you can just go on and on and on. The problem keeps expanding and so on and so forth. Which problem SERAP is saying CBN should simply solve, so that we know who next to hold accountable for the compliance or enforcement of the judgment of the Supreme Court with respect to how it's, with respect to autonomies for local government areas. And because of the constituency where I come from, with respect to judicial autonomy. This conversation was triggered because, you know, at some point, FCT, we had court staffs embarking on strike actions for this compliance and so on. When I leave here, I'll go do a research with respect to the level of compliance with that other angle. Because these are the things that balances the system out. If the judiciary continues to be tied to the apron strings of the executive, it poses a problem. You cannot get justice if you proceed against certain persons. During this end bad governance, there is a particular development that caught my attention. The decision restricting the end bad governance to National Stadium alone came from where that kind of decision has never come from. That particular judge has never done any political matter. But for reasons I will not state here, he did. He handled that particular one. So there's actually no independence per se. What kind of independence are we talking about? On your own, you cannot carry out housing projects as a judicial arm. You can't on your own. Oh, me and my fellow judges, we need housing estate to, okay, we prepare a budget and then we get it executed. They can't do it. That's why when governors are doing it, they'll be clapping. Then the CJ and other judges will escort them there. They'll be clapping. Which is not supposed to be.
Meaning there's even problem in the judiciary itself.
That autonomy, that financial autonomy is very important.
Because like from what you're saying now, even the judiciary does not have that autonomy.
It was pronounced upon. At some point, we had several strike actions across the country calling for enforcement, pronounced upon twice in favor of the judiciary. But what I'm not sure of now is whether there is full compliance with respect to that. I'll go look it up. It's possible there's full compliance because for a while now, I've not heard that issue burning. But it was almost at the same level with what we are discussing at some point in time. Give these local governments their money. Let us hold them accountable now. Let us know why certain things are not in our local communities and why people cannot stay there. Let us know. It's easy to ask your local government chairman questions than to go ask your governor.
All right. You said something about compliance while you were speaking. And what we're saying now is complying with the rules. One of the things that SERAP is even asking for is compliance. CBN, play your own part and let us know how you are playing your part.
Exactly.
Then the people at the local government council play your own part too. I know SERAP will also, because there have been time. I think the federal government, you even said that the chairman have been asked, whatever you want to do with the money, do with it. But don't forget that a day of accountability will surely come. Now, we have a lot of issue of people migrating from the communities, the local government council, to the urban centers in search of job and all of that. Do you think if this autonomy gets a full compliance, do you think that will reduce to an extent? And I don't know if that is, I'm not a legal practitioner, I don't know if that is also part of what the AG will need to endorse before the compliance can actually take place.
The question is a socio-economic question, a socio-economic, probably cultural, and so on and so forth. It's a sociological issue. Now, why did I say so? The issue of migration from rural to urban areas is linked to certain developments, certain infrastructure, etc., at those levels. And now, if the local government areas are properly financed, will these things improve? Ordinarily speaking, in an ideal society, yes, there will be improvement. And if the society is improved, more people can take the decision to stay back. Because, come to think of it, people have farmlands in their communities, lands that they cannot, the land that they cannot exhaust. But they are here buying land in Kuje, buying in Keti, buying in Kwali, farmlands, so that they can farm in commercial quantity. Why? So some cannot go to their communities where they will even get almost land for free to do that thing, because other facilities and infrastructure to make life enjoyable are not there. In this country, as I speak, there are many areas that don't have electricity. Because yes, and this is another topic again, you need to buy transformers, you need to buy poles, you need to buy cables, you need to lobby the distribution companies to come there and get all of this done. Yes, do you need the local government chairman or chairman to do this? No. But is that the reality of our society? Yes. You don't need them to do these things, in the sense that we already have a near privatized electricity sector. And these functions and duties are functions and duties of the distribution companies. And you want to think that when you have, as a businessman, the more rich that you can get, the more prospective customers you can bring in, the more money you will make. But you see, for some criminal enterprises we have in this country, who are calling themselves private, they are actually not private. The ones that are not stealing from the citizens indirectly will be doing it through some form of government subventions, subsidies, and whatever you call it. So, yes, the local government chairmen shouldn't be bothering themselves too much with this. But the reality is, if they don't do it, the distribution companies who are supposed to say, oh, we now have this is a customer base that we can catch into, they are not doing it. Even in the cities, there are some places, as it's being opened up, it is the developer that will buy the transformers. It is those on the streets or in that area that will buy transformers. I know of a community along Airport Road. They contracted the transformer purchase out to an individual who bought the transformer in conjunction with a dealer. They brought the thing. They had their own agreement too, And the people in that community have to be paying monthly for that transformer till they pay off.
But let's get back to the local government council right now. Is it wrong for the local government chairman to buy transformers, or because I've heard where they said even the councillors get transformer for their ward. If this disbursements is really being done and there is enough money, is it bad to do that?
What the local government chairman should be concentrating on are their functions as stipulated by the constitution. Ordinarily speaking, market, creation of markets a conducive place to sell, what do you call it, abattoirs, and the local roads, the roads that are not state and federal government, they do the roads for them. They open up roads in communities and make it okay for them. Agricultural related activities, primary health care, and so on and so forth. Any function that is not for the state and for the federal government becomes residual. They take it up. And these functions do not include purchase of transformers for the people. Maybe before the deregulation of the sector, yes. But after the sector has been deregulated, no. That is a private area now for the distribution companies to do. Buy transformers for the area, connect them to lights. They will pay now. When they are paying, they don't pay to the local government chairman. They don't pay to any federal government account or purse. The pay goes to the distribution companies. That's why I said it's not what they should do, but by virtue of the reality of our own country, because things that work well in other climes don't work in this country. Nigeria is not a normal place. It's an abnormal society with abnormal, absurd behaviors. So that is why, for the sake of mental health, some people have stopped even discussing this country. What works in other climes don't work here. If there was the business of a councillor, local government chairman, reps member, and so on and so forth, what's my business with buying transformers?
But what if it's not done by the people who are supposed to do it and they do it? Is it a crime, or is it against it's not against the law?
It's not against the law.
Since it's not stipulated in their own.
Yeah, but it's wrong.
Because that money would have been used for something
other
else.
things. There are communities where they travel far to access basic medical care. No, you will see a very big community. One room of primary health care, this thing is not there. If you send people there, they won't even stay. I know communities who have made efforts to donate structures for doctors and nurses, for civil defense, as police posts, and so on, so that they can have at least some fair share of living nice. But the people will not stay. There's nothing there to keep you. So they step out. If they have emergency medical situations, then there's problem. Some of these communities just have people who are chemists, and out of their experience, they begin to call them doctors. They who attend to people. They don't go to any formal school, but they are doing the work. And how will they get healthcare when even in the cities, the doctors we have are overwhelmed? So who will you post there? And the cities are even places where these governors, and in the case of the FCT minister, have so much funds to do so many things.
Alance, the primary health care in FCT is on strike.
I didn't want to even mention it, but somehow the conversation is going there, and the governor, the minister was saying the other day, I gave you money to pay teachers. You didn't pay teachers. What did you do with the money? And so on and so forth.
Meaning there are some people who are trying to frustrate the effort of the minister.
Somewhere. Whether it's a political statement, whether it is true, since nobody has come to say, no, you didn't give us money to pay teachers, I take it to be true.
All right. The way it is right now, I think we have so much apart from SERAP coming up to say every disbursement being done by the Central Bank of Nigeria to the 774 local government councils in Nigeria. There are so many other areas that also needs to be checkmate. A lot of compliances needs to be done. Whatever the court have said needs to be done. Who is getting this allocation and who is not getting it? Who has the autonomy as we speak and who doesn't have it? All of this needs to be taken into cognizance. We've been discussing with a legal practitioner, and he has been trying to make us understand one or two things. In his own opinion, so far, we need to do so much in this country so that at least people who are supposed to be held accountable can be held accountable. So before we actually round up, our time is up, but before we round up, what would you have to say? Because so many times SERAP have come to say, well, they've even tried, we've even seen situations where they sue presidents, they sue governors. As a legal practitioner, this suing that happens all the time, have there been results?
Of course, you will always get results. It's either the court says yes to your reliefs or claims, or the court will say no to your reliefs or claims. If the court says yes to your relief or claims, you move to the next level, which is the level of, what do you call it, enforcement. So if you proceed to court, whether it's a yes or no, it's a result. That's the outcome of your litigation. Now, if it is a yes for you, then it means you need to enforce. So the issue of enforcement comes to bear, which is the stage we are with respect to the topic of discourse. Compliance, enforcement of the Supreme Court judgment with respect to financial autonomies for local governments. So you can imagine the scenario now. Stretch it, apply it to every other scenario, every other thing that happens in the courtroom. So this enforcement part is what SERAP is doing. We need to know whether you have complied. So if nobody is pushing, nobody is asking questions, and they are not doing anything, it means there was a result from court that has not been enforced. Meanwhile, it wasn't SERAP's litigation that led to that decision. Anyways, just to clear the air, maybe somebody is watching out there and is beginning to feel that, oh, nah, SERAP took them to court, this, that. No, it wasn't SERAP. It was federal government, state government affair. Now, the judgment is out. It's a public interest matter, and we are all interested in it. We should be interested in it. And SERAP is saying, yes, as a citizen of this country, because by virtue of their registration, they are persons in the eye of the law. I also need to know whether you have complied. So we just await the outcome, and because they've said, oh, if you do not, carry out the recommended measures within the time stipulated, they will resort to some legal actions. So if they don't get a response, maybe the legal action they will take is to sue the CBN for that information.
So
when they do so, they'll be doing so rightly.
So what's the last word for the CBN and SERAP right now?
I'll just urge the CBN, give them the information. Me too, I'm interested in that information. So that bias, yes, that bias is there for me. So I will just urge them to make this information public. Let us know if there is compliance, if there is partial compliance, if there is no compliance, and why. Then I also urge SERAP, if this information doesn't come out, they should take that legal action that they seek to take. And then let's know what's happening. Because we need to hold these leaders accountable any way legally possible.
All right, we need to hold this leadership accountable any way possible. And that's exactly what SERAP is doing. We've heard several times where SERAP sue authorities. And of course, this is a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst speaking to us in the person of Monday AJ. It's good to have you join us on the program this morning.
The pleasure is mine once again.
All right, we will continue with the rest of the program. The Global Morning Show continues after this break. We'll be right back.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Disbursing upkeep of 20,000 naira.
Welcome back. It is still Global Morning. Well, this is so deep, talking about the fact that a legal practitioner is complaining about the state of the judicial system in Nigeria as it has to do with compliance and autonomy, financial autonomy. Mm-hmm. Well, I deliberately had him on the program today because what we're talking about has legal implication, and he has confirmed the fact that apart from just this, there are a lot of other judgments that have not gotten compliance. It's either because there is no proper enforcement or it has not been endorsed, all right, by the Attorney General. But then, looking at the local government autonomy, like he rightly said, the Central Bank of Nigeria, if they are complying, Nigerians need to know. And the local government council, the chairman, shouldn't just keep quiet. That's what it means. Then you should also remember that it was being said that any local government that does not have a democratically elected chairman should not get this funding. Then the governors were not satisfied with it. They were not happy because he said something very vital, that Nigerians should even be surprised how powerful the governors have become in recent times, just because of the kind of fund that pass through their hands, including that of the local government. And what most of them do is to just appoint a caretaker chairman, okay, who is answerable to them. And what they do is they might just give them something out of the money being released by the federal government, and at the end of the day they will tell them this is what is coming to you, but on paper this is what you should say you accepted from me. But then what I'm sending to you, whatever you want to do with it, you can go ahead and do with it. Nobody is holding you accountable for all of that. And these are the things that SERAP is trying to checkmate, because the problem we have in Nigeria is the fact that we don't have accountability. You know, a lot of people are being given responsibility without accountability, and that results to not performance.
And then one of the, not just accountability alone, I think we do not have a monitoring team to actually monitor what these individuals do in their various offices. If you have someone that you monitor as well as you give that accountability, I think it will go a long way in order to create that balance, so that we'll know that, okay, I cannot act out of the constituents. I cannot act outside what I am supposed to do. There's someone that, there are people watching me to actually do the right thing. That pressure of doing the right thing is there. But I think because we do not have that, and also we are not accountable to anyone, so we can do and undo, we can do whatever we want, even when the court has given a particular order for it, we can bypass or play around it. I think that's where most of the problem lies. And we keep going back and forth with this local government autonomy. Most governors do not want to concede when it comes to issues like this because of what they are gaining or what they get for it. And of course, this godfatherism is there. Loyalty plays a very big role because, these particular chairmen, the councillors, they feel they owe it to these governors to be on that seat. They don't have that, will I say, that faith in themselves that they can actually attain this height. Because if you look at it critical, have you been to any local government function? Have you seen how it is? Have you watched it? Have you seen how it is? Most of them, they will tell you, most of them are not literate. Most of them, and they feel that they have to rely on these governors to make decisions, not knowing that they are the mouthpiece of that local government. When it comes to healthcare, when it comes to education, when it comes to projects in that particular urban area, they owe it to the people because they are the mouthpiece and because they were elected on that seat. But because they feel they owe it to these governors, a lot of them are ready to abide to whatever the governors are telling them in order for peace to reign, and then, even when it's detriment to their own integrity, which is unfortunate.
All right. We are supposed to have a second conversation, as it has been on Global Morning, as it has been our custom. But then that couldn't happen this morning because our guests, there are just one or two situations with the guest at the 11th hour that couldn't be handled. So we're supposed to talk about the fact that the defection and how a lot of people, while we're looking at the papers, this morning we talked about the fact that some things needed to be done earlier by some of these parties to stop this defection. People moving from one, but you said something very vital, and that's the issue of not doing the right thing and doing it late. It's one thing to do the right thing at the right time, but it's another thing to do the right thing at the wrong time. You wouldn't get the kind of result you will get when you do the right thing at the right time, when the right thing is being done at the wrong time. And it's part of the reason why some Nigerians are saying, where have these people been? How come they allow things to deteriorate to this level before they will be having an emergency meeting with the big wigs? Where have the big wigs been?
All this while.
Why haven't this meeting held? People that have defected already, it will be difficult. Can they go back?
You see, the thing is, we need to understand something. All of these things play in line of your integrity being at stake here. That means this defection, if those that have defected from PDP to APC now coming back immediately, it doesn't speak well of their integrity.
I don't think they will even want to.
Does the stability alone, as in you're moving from one, you're going back and forth, but you cannot make up your mind. And that is why people will say these PDP individuals, they have to get it together. They really need to get it together. Even the members that are defected to APC are running back to PDP and then going back to APC, running back. Really, are you kidding me? So why didn't these bigwigs come on board from the beginning when this whole issue started, where there was this tussle here and there in the PDP? That's a lot of issues that we need to really look at and be sure that this coming together of the FCT militants, some of the big guns in PDP will be able to put it together. But I doubt very much. Most individuals who are of prominence have defected to APC, and it's going to be hard to draw them back because once you taste the sweet water, it's very hard to go back to the bitter water. I'm not saying PDP is bitter; it's just my own personal opinion. But with the people, because it takes a lot of convincing to defect to APC. These individuals who are defected, I'm sure they must have sat down, they must have thought about it. And most people do not just defect because they want to. They've seen the benefits attached to it. Because if I'm going to a particular place, it means that the grass is greener. So automatically it shows that maybe they may get more than what they are getting at PDP at the moment, or maybe they have tried. This is just a speculation, an assumption. I'm just speculating that I'm sure these individuals of prominence must have tried to put it together with the PDP to see how we can make it. Because this is a party that you've started with. This is a party that you have been with from the beginning to, as in, this is a party that you have gone all out for, and now to just defect one day and without looking back, it takes a toll on an individual's psyche also. So I'm sure they must have thought to themselves, they must have tried to make peace, they must have tried to bring people together, tried to come together, but it did not work at their own level, and that is why the defection took place. And the grass is greener, they say, on the other side. So let's see. But whatever the outcome is with the coming together today with the FCT minister, some very important individuals of the PDP. Let's just see if who knows, it might defect back to. I don't know. I'm just saying. But let's just see how well it plays. But Ramsey is laughing because he knows that. Really.
Well, no, I don't see the possibility of people who
never
just defected returning back. Well, let's see the magic that will happen, whether or not the people will return back. All right, let's see if that magic will happen. The people who have left the People's Democratic Party, the Labour Party, the NNPP, whether they are going to come back. You know, there was a speculation that Kwankwaso was also leaving.
Yes.
But then we are still waiting to see the clear picture, because it's as if that is just a speculation.
Yes, it is.
Because we've not seen him come to the media to openly say, I am defecting to the All Progress. But then it might be difficult. I don't know, but then there is nothing that cannot happen under the sun, especially in Nigeria.
Like I said it before, Ramsey. I say never say never. You do not know. You might be surprised today what will happen today or the next minute. With politicians, you're not certain. We just have to see how well this plays out. But let's not be surprised. By now, with politics, there's nothing that should be so surprising that you say, oh my gosh, I didn't see this coming. We always see all angles coming. We just wait for it to just come to limelight, right?
Well, the most surprising of all is that of the Labour Party, because everyone has thought the Labour Party was going to be the strongest party after 2023. You don't just give a run, and then after the fact that you lost, then you start withdrawing all the effort. I don't know. That zeal, that push, I don't know what happened to it. I was never expecting any troubles in the Labour Party. I wasn't, because the acceptance they got, their presidential candidates, the kind of support.
Yes.
So I was thinking they were going to go back and refire and put their house in order. But then, when I started seeing the faction, the abure, I was like, what is happening? I think we need to have someone from the Labour Party come tell us what the problem really is. Because a lot of Nigerians were never expecting it. Myself, I wasn't expecting it.
I wasn't expecting it either, with the fire that happened with with Peter Obi, the presidential candidate at about that time, with all of this hype everywhere talking about it. Everyone thought that he would be the one to come and save Nigeria from the woes and all of that. But like I said, I was like what you were expecting. I was expecting that even when he wasn't the president, he wasn't
he didn't make it,
but that shouldn't have stopped it. It would have gone back to the drawing board to see how 2027 will look like, coming back. But the division, and if you look at it critically, most of the division are in these parties, Labour Party and of course the PDP, and then of course APC they are very stable at about this point. But let's just see how well it plays out basically, and just hope that everything is nipped to the bud. And at this point, we're going to wrap it up on Global Morning. Thank you all so much for being a part of the program with us. Join us same time with the next crew that will be holding up Global Morning. I am Jemai Manson, and of course my co-host
Ramsey Enokagbo is my name. We'll see you again.
Have an amazing day ahead. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rate as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave,
they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle, the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks. It was